Hello and welcome to House of Cult. My name is Alessandro, and with me is the owner and founder of the Pretty Cult, Ariel. And today we are so stoked to be chatting with Jason from the St. Louis-based metalcore outfit Dead7, who are set to release their new album, Love What You Can While You Still Got Something Left to Love, on July 11th via Sharptone Records. So thank you so much for joining us, Jason. How's the day treating you?
It's been a very good day. Just I'm a teacher, so I'm on summer vacation, and I've gotten to spend a lot of time with my kiddo and just kind of hang out. And you know, just got back from a big little family trip with my family, which we haven't done in like 10 years too. So it's a nice little reset weekend and just kind of getting back into the swing of things.
Nice.
That's so fun. I was like a teacher
First
and in a
teacher on the
metalcore
show.
band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that's cool. Yeah,
What do
yeah,
you
yeah.
What?
what do you teach?
Yeah.
I'm a third grade special ed teacher,
Cool.
so
Nice.
kind of a
Wow.
little bit of everything.
Yeah. That's so unique. Wow. Okay, that's sick. Do they know that you're in a band?
The first couple years that I was like in a project, I kind of kept it under wraps, but then I was just like, ah, screw it, because I love this stuff. It's so funny because they get so excited because I'm like, all right, end of the year, I'll show you my band. But you just got to wait until the end of the year, and it's also incentive, be cool, and I'll show you my band.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so they always laugh. They always go. They're just like cackling, and they're just like, "You look so angry. Why do you look like that? Oh, you look sad." My one fifth grader, which I worked with a fifth grade group this year too, said that, was depressed chicken or something like that. Some stupid fifth grade lingo that I haven't caught on to yet. So it's just like, all right.
That's awesome. I can imagine you must have some very interesting like break room conversations with your other teacher colleagues as well,
Oh
too.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And some a lot of it's about like TV shows we're watching, and then they always just make the jokes about they're like, uh, oh, he's got his energy drinks because he's up rocking all night. Ha ha ha. And it's I'm just still so off the radar from them because they're like 20 years older than me too. So I'm just like
Yeah.
vibing with the vibing with the crew. But it's fun. I've been really enjoying my last 7 years as a teacher. It's been pretty cool.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I always said if I didn't work in the music industry, I would have gone into being a teacher. Obviously went to college, was a English and history minor, and it was kind of like my dream that if I didn't work in the music industry, I'd probably be like a history teacher or something like that, which
Dude,
would be a lot of fun.
it's super fun at times, and then obviously there's the challenges, and I started right when COVID hit, so that threw a wrench in
Mm.
everything. So, but
Yeah.
you know, it's if you like working with kids, honestly, as long as you're there to do it for the kids, then that's the important part. Because once you're like being selfish about it, it's like, dude, shut up. You're
Yeah, of
not you're not a good
course.
teacher if that's what you're doing.
Well, let's jump into it. We're here to talk about Dead 7, so I'd love, to know how did it kind of come together back in 2022? What was, kind of the mission or the vision for the band at that time? And does it feel like, this journey has moved faster than you expected so far?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. We started our because this group of guys that we have in the band, we've been together since 2019 in our previous band, uh, and so we just kind of kept working at it. We had started right when COVID. I keep dropping that, but it's just kind of crucial to the timeline, I guess. But we just kept like trying to write and figure out what we wanted to sound like and what we wanted to do. And we met up with our producers, Caleb and Ben, and we were just like, you know, had ideas. I had a lot of themes of like what I wanted the whole like vibe to kind of be. And so, I think we started writing the first few songs back in 2021. And we were still under our old band name. We were called Make Your Mark, which, we were in the St. Louis scene, man, we would super young band. And so we just really like worked on our sound. And when we got done with like the second or third song, I think we got done with just Bite It way back when. Um, it was funny. Our producer Caleb was just like, bro, you got to change the band name. This shit sucks. No one's gonna listen. They're like, no one's gonna listen to a metal band named Make Your Mark. Like that sounds like this. Like it just wouldn't work. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll take that on the chin. He's giving me nothing but good advice so far. So we kind of just were reminiscing of the ideas, and we set on. We were gonna do like 27, or it was spelled kind of like how Dead7 is, where it's the word 20 and then the 7. But there's a couple artists like that on Spotify around, so we're like, we want something a little bit more us. And we were talking about the 27 Club because I think 4 of us were turning 27 that year or something like that, or there were 3 of us were, and so we were just like, just do something around that. And we found this picture, like Google searched the 27 Club, found there's like 7 of the crucial members. And we're like, what about like Dead7? Does that sound stupid? Is that cool? And we like typed it up. We didn't, we were so like, it's got to be cool, but we tried the lowercase, tried the uppercase, and we settled on that. And it just kind of has culminated that vibe of what Dead7 is. And it's, talk about death a lot and the uncertainty that life has, and, explore that nature with not just the lyrics, but also the sound, so it's just kind of really elevated since then. And yeah, fucking when Tate Mouth was the one that really like shot us out, that we were like, whoa, like we were not expecting the response to be like that. We were hoping for something, but it was just like, wow, this is amazing. And so we just kind of kept going.
That's
Hell
awesome.
yeah.
I have to ask, are you aware of the 2016 sci-fi movie called Dead 7?
Yeah, I am.
I discovered this the other day when I was prepping for this interview, that there is a movie called Dead 7.
I know. I need to watch it. I haven't watched it yet, but I this is the one thing that we found. We are like, oh shit. It's fine. It's fine.
No, it's cool. I mean, it's like I was like, damn, like they must have just been like so blown away by this like 2016 for TV sci-fi. I think it's a zombie movie, if
Dude,
I'm
and it's
not
got like
mistaken.
I'm pretty sure it has a bunch of like the Backstreet Boys in it too. I think that's why it's like,
Yeah. I was like, that's random. That's cool. Fuck yeah.
right, for whatever.
That's awesome, man. I always like to ask our guests, because, we're based in LA, but we're very fascinated with other music scenes. And St. Louis is kind of fascinating to me because, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't mean this in any type of way, but, St. Louis has not always been a major exporter of like heavy or alternative bands, maybe besides like, I know Story of the Year is from St. Louis.
Hmm.
Foxing, if you're into some of more of like the like
Yeah.
emo revival stuff. But what was sort of the scene like as you were coming out playing in bands, and where does it sort of sit today?
Um, See, so respectfully, I was new to the St. Louis scene whenever it kind of was it. God damn it, COVID happened, and that kind of really put a stop to it. It was pretty active. I got in at like 2019, and there was a lot of like metalcore, post-hardcore stuff like that. Unimagined was one. There's a couple other ones. Broken Youth. They were on like Franz's old label. So we had it a little bit, but the real kind of stuff that flows around here the most that I see is hardcore.
Hmm.
Big hardcore, like
Yeah.
hardcore community for sure. A lot of there's more smaller venues popping back up, which is cool to see.
Mhm.
There's a lot of smaller venues that are like hosting these shows, and you see these flyers all, or I see these flyers all the time around town, and they're just like, this show, at this place called the Platypus, which literally is like a room. It's so small, but like really intimate, fucking hardcore shows. So there's a lot of that. And the story of the year is like one of the few breakthrough bands. There's this other band that was alternative indie rock, hard to put a label on, called Ludo.
Oh
Who,
yeah.
yeah, love Ludo. And so I got into it late, like our scene, like what my band would be in our scene as, because we don't quite fit in with like the hardcore, just hardcore, like total respect to them. I love a lot of the bands in the area. Just we've been kind of trying to find our place here, and we've just kind of been like trying to develop community here. So it's mainly a hardcore. There's another really sick band out here called Summoning the Lich. And they're just like a really crazy tech death metal band, which is, a little left field, but definitely hardcore roots.
That's awesome. Nice.
Yeah, that kind of goes into my next question too. When you said you guys are not just metalcore, you have pop, R&B, electronic, cyber metal kind of, you pull from so many different genres. Where did those influences kind of come from, and who in the band tends to, maybe champion which side of that spectrum? Um, and kind of would love to know what is, the importance for you to keep Dead 7 sound so genre fluid.
Uh, we came into our first writing session just very open. And with our producers, Caleb and Ben, they really, uh, they like to push us as hard as we can. I've left sessions there, um, you know, almost throwing up from how hard I've pushed myself, but to get every take the way it should be, you can't just focus in on like, oh, drums, guitar, bass, vocals. You have to build an atmosphere with music nowadays. So we just really took from everything. One of my favorite bands is Don Broco. And so I really
Mm,
love that they just explore all sorts of, like, if you listen to their entire catalog, it's vastly different from the back. And I love that you can just do that, with music. You can create it, and you can do what you want. You don't have to be stuck in one genre. I love metalcore. I love doing the screams and the hard shit, but I don't want to be stuck there. I don't want to be screaming
fair.
till I'm 40. It's fun, but I want to sing too. And so
Hmm.
with Dead 7, it was also another experiment of just like finding my voice, because in my previous band I didn't sing at all. It was just all screams, and we literally only released like 2 songs. So I wanted to do that, and I'll hype up my producers a lot, so I'm sorry about that too. But Caleb and Ben, they just really really pushed me to like find it, and with this record coming out, we really found it and explores. We did a ballad with Please. It's very pop focused. With Whole, it kind of veers all over the place. I just love music, and I want to not be just tied down. I like to explore.
For
Yeah, and I
sure.
mean, no, like, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, and Alessandro, we do talk about producers a lot on here because I feel like a good producer pushes the artist to do better. That's kind of, I am not in a band, but from what I gather, that's kind of part of their job as well. To like a good producer will push you out of your comfort zone and be like, try this, no, do this, no, do this. So it's like truly producers are a big part of an artist's career and band and album because having someone that cares and pushes you is really important.
Yeah, that's very very well said. Just
Yeah.
having that person to kind of also back up the vision of like, this is what you want to do. All right, cool. This is what I think would elevate that or make it, better. Or this is what I think would sound good for you, or what I think would be a good decision. And, obviously not listening to every single thing and doing exactly everything they say, but like taking what you want for your project and taking what ideas they've given you and just making a perfect like vision. I that's another thing about this whole venture is just getting to work with the people that we've gotten to work with. It's been amazing. It's so cool to see people really like see what you want to accomplish with what you're doing and are like, hey, let me help. How can I help?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely. I feel like, especially when I listen to a song like Blur, it kind of feels like, and this is kind of Ariel's motto, but no idea feels too weird. And, it almost seems like, and I've seen a lot of bands talk about this in interviews, and in my own band, I've talked about this sometimes, where you're almost in the studio, and if an idea can almost make you laugh for how ridiculous it might be. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that has to kind of be an element of your writing process because there's a lot of let's see if this works, because like you're going from these really like beautiful kind of ethereal poppy melodies and then you're going to the most like disgusting breakdown out of nowhere. And but it works. It works very seamless. But is that kind of a big part of your writing process?
Oh yeah. It it was almost kind of like jokey at first with the first few songs that we wrote way back when, but then we really kind of understood that like that's something we do well. And yeah, the way you said it, where you kind of laugh at it, I think almost every song when we got done with writing this latest record, we were kind of just like, what the fuck is going on? Like in the best way possible. So yeah, no, I think that's definitely, especially with Blur. Blur is one of those ones where it was, I think, when we were writing the album, like it was like the halfway point. So we wrote like the whole month of June last year. So we were about halfway done, and that's when we really started like kicking the gear of like, oh, this is what the record's about. This is, oh, okay, all right, and we found what we were going for, like the vibe, the sound, my delivery, and everything else. And so, Blur, we got really ridiculous with that one, and we intentionally were like, this is going to be the first one of the album because when we want people to listen to it, like whether they've heard it before or they're hearing the album for the first time and they've never heard Blur, and all of a sudden they're just like, what the fuck? And then it
Yeah.
goes into Hole, and then they're like, what the fuck? And then they get to go into the rest of the songs and be like, dive in.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like it's like the perfect starting point to show anybody your band would be a song like Blur. Like it's kind of like the thesis statement, I think, for the album, for sure.
Very well, very well. I love that. Yeah, no, I
Yeah, the
absolutely.
thesis statement.
The thesis statement. I
Trying to go
love
on the
that.
teacher
I was like
here, guys,
so
right here.
teachery of
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
Nah,
Alessandro.
no, but like so accurate. And yeah, no, that's so good.
Hell yeah. Well, I want to dive into the album Love What You Can while you still got something left to love. That's a very direct and, obviously universally relatable title. What does that phrase sort of mean to you personally, and how does it sort of tie into the record's overall theme?
Um, uh, when we finished the record, um, playing around with, the idea of like trying to come up with a name for a body of work. It's 10 songs, and we've got a lot of stuff going on, out of the three that you've heard, we've got a lot of different things, a lot of different elements. So, really just trying to find the overall message. And it's in a track coming out when an album comes out, Nuclear, and it's taken straight from that. It's a lyric from that song. Just, it really explores the idea of like uncertainty of
Mhm.
the world, of love, you know, death is certain, but like the uncertainty is like, how will it happen? When will it happen? Same with love. When are you going to meet the one? Did you meet the one? Are you with the one? And all, all the messy details that could encapsulate love and death, really. It's been the kind of the staple of this record, especially, but like kind of the overarching theme of what we've been kind of talking about the whole time.
For sure.
Yeah, it sounds like your experience in relationships have clearly, shaped this album from the highs on Please, the lows on Whole. What was kind of the headspace when during that time when you were writing? And sounds like it was kind of cathartic or maybe a healing process for you?
Definitely. Definitely. Um, got a lot of, for me, I was experiencing a lot of things with um, my wife and I's relationship, and a lot of those things that I'd really caused personally. And so the viewpoints, whether it's from me or from her perspective, definitely shaped, the whole way I delivered my lines or the lyrics that came out, or what was said. And my producer Caleb was also going through a lot of shit with his stuff, so like when we were collaborating on the lyrics, it was just, what do we want to say right now, or what do we need to get out right now? So that just really, it was very, like you said, kind of cathartic, and just let out a lot of, I don't want to say demons and sound cheesy, but like just let out a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And really found a lot of myself in that time. And my wife and I did a lot of healing, and I did a lot of, diving into my mental health and getting that better, seeking out, therapy and psychiatrists and stuff like that. So like very, very cathartic experience to really like get this stuff out, you know.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean that's super commendable. We're huge advocates of therapy and mental health awareness on this show for sure. And just like having that, self-awareness and accountability is really, really refreshing, especially like in a genre like metalcore sometimes where it's like this person wronged me, but instead you're like, maybe I've need have some things I need to work on. You know what I'm saying? So that's
100%.
it's a fresh perspective for sure.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
it's nobody's perfect, and not certainly going to ever, me personally, I'm never going to think I'm perfect. So, you got to choose when you're going to work on it. And we're not getting any younger. So whatever time hits you, or whatever situation you've put yourself in or have done, that you're just like, whoa, I need to take care of this now, because this is just going to get worse. So you got to do what you got to do. Keep
yeah.
on keeping
Absolutely.
on.
And on a lighter note, let's talk about being horny because clearly, that informed the song "Please," as you eloquently stated in the press release, which is incredible. In all my years of working in press, I think that's a first for me.
Really?
Yeah, believe it or like just that blatant. I love that.
I mean,
And
why hide it though?
well,
That's
sure, yeah.
the thing is like all these bands write these songs, and it's like
Yeah,
we
yeah,
we
it's true.
we know what
Yeah.
you're trying to do here, buddy. And it's like,
hmm
um, that's an emotion, that's a feeling, that's a thing that unfortunately kind of not really plagues society, but like, and it's a huge thing in society. People sexualizing everything, and
Mhm.
we're not like trying to capitalize on it, but it's just like, hey, that kind of ties into what we are talking about here. Like,
Mhm.
I have been in relationships where, the person would just have to really ask me nicely to do something, and I would probably do it. And that can be really good and also very bad. So, uh, kind of it was just a really fun way to kind of talk about that.
For sure. And you obviously brought in Marcus Vick from Invent Animate for this feature as well too. What sort of prompted that and what
Oh,
was that process like?
um, like I said before, I love collaborating. Like that, some of the cool things about the music industry is just like who you can try and work with. And so we we're playing with the idea of getting at least, one person to feature on the record. So uh, with Please, I was like, I think that one would be cool to have someone on it. And so we were just trying to find somebody. And uh, D, my one guitarist, he was like, hey, why don't you reach out to Marcus? Like, he's insane. Like, just reach out. And when I've talked to Sharptone, I've talked to Sal or A&R, he's like, you know, if you want to do that stuff, don't feel like you have to wait for us or like ask us to initiate that. If that's something that you feel like you can just do or contact them and try and do, like, try to do it organically first. And I'm like, okay, cool. Um, so I did. I literally fucking just blind shot right into his DM, and I was like, hey man, my name's Jason. This is my band. We just got signed. Working on a record. Would love to have you on this song. And yeah, just like shot it out there, not expecting anything. And he got back to me within like a day or two. And he was like, I don't normally do this, but this sounds great. Would love to do it. And he's a fucking gem. He's a sweetheart. Like, super happy to have gotten to get him on here. We just thought it needed something, and he definitely brought it.
The hell yeah for the DM reach out.
Dude.
Sometimes it gets the job done. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah, I
We've
work
had
for
a
a
couple, yeah, I would say we've had a couple artists on here who have said they just do the DM reach out, and shockingly, they get some really cool people responding.
I
I will say, like, I work at a record label as well. And sometimes the DM thing is great, but other times it can be very stressful as
oh
well too on the
Yes.
back end, clearing certain things.
oh
But
yeah.
when it's chill, absolutely. And I can also say Sharptone, in my experience, has always been some of the best to work with clearing stuff. So just putting that out there. They've
Yeah.
always
Oh
No,
yeah,
super
Sharptone.
great with that.
no, they've been making sure with the crossing the T's and dotting the I's.
Yeah.
It's been nice. It's been they've you hear nightmare stories about labels, but it's been really cool to just like at this point into it have really felt like they've had our back.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah. The album features two guest vocalists. Looking ahead, what are some, besides Marcus from Event, what were some dream collaboration bucket list items you would love to have feature on Dead 7 music?
Um, Me personally, I really fucked with Issues in college. So
Mm.
Sky,
Hmm.
the old bass player,
Yeah.
I would love to either have him do some crazy bass shit or like work on writing a song with him, because his track record for that's crazy cool. And his brother actually, Ty, does like record scratching production shit, so like working with him would be cool. uh Another dream feature for me, or something to work with, would be either Ben Burley from Breaking Benjamin or
Hmm.
Adam Gontier from 3 Days Grace, because growing up, like, those two were like my fucking idols. I was like, if I'm gonna be in a band, I want to sound like anywhere near these guys. So those, for me, like, that's kind of where I am. Like, I've always been into the radio hard rock stuff, but then, like I said, Issues came along, and that really like catapulted me into like liking and exploring songs that weren't just, all right, here's rock song, rock song, rock song. It's like metal, but it explores so many different genres. So
Shout out to Sky and Ty, right? That's his
mhm.
brother. They're from my hometown of Seattle.
Yeah.
Represent. It's really funny. Like, I loved, obviously, like radio rock like anybody else growing up. Believe it or not, 5 days ago, I discovered that the singer of Breaking Benjamin's name is Benjamin.
Yeah, dude.
I did not know this until 5 days ago, and it blew my fucking mind. Like, I was like on the Wikipedia, I was like, I gotta, I don't know why. I was just like, I was listening to fucking Diary of Jane. Went on the wiki, I was like, his fucking name is Benjamin. This is breaking news. Mine was
Oh my God.
bleeding.
Breaking news, breaking Benjamin's name
Yeah.
is Benjamin.
It
Crack the
fucking
code.
blew my mind. Insane. Yeah. Shouts out Breaking Benjamin for sure.
Heck yeah.
We
Oh
always like to
man.
ask this stuff too. Aside from music, what does a typical day look like for you? Obviously, we know you teach, but like, are there any other hobbies or activities that you love to partake in? Whether that be sports, going to the bar, reading, anime, video games, anything like that.
Um, it depends on my mood, but like I said, I'm off for the summer. So regardless of that, I big family guy. So I like to hang with my wife and my kid, and uh, whether it's watching these dumb little TV shows that he likes, or playing outside. We've been big on bike rides recently. So I got a bike, my wife got a bike. So we've been going on strolls and going biking more, which has been really cool. I love cooking. Cooking's awesome. Getting to explore with different types of food and making stuff. My
What's
wife
your
is,
what's your dish? Like your classic dish?
I don't know if I'd say I have a classic dish, but like Mexican cuisine is
Mm.
it's a staple because my wife is Hispanic and uh, she grew up with it, and so she kind of like pushed that love onto me. And oh man, so I make mean rice, and we actually when we went on my family trip this last weekend, we made fajitas. So just killer pepper onion mix and some steak and some chicken and rice and beans. Can't go wrong with that stuff. Uh, Also trying to make homemade flour tortillas right now. So we're trying to figure that out right now, which is tough. And I love video games. So yeah, I've been playing not as much recently because trying to get ready for this little couple run of shows that we are doing with Weaving Looms. So probably be playing a little bit more when I get back, but also trying to get stuff done around the house. There's a million things, just trying to wrap my head around. Home
Pre,
projects has also been another thing too.
yeah, pre-tour prep.
Super fun, super fun. It's my first time, like, it's our first time, like, getting out there and going, even playing just a couple shows. So we're like, of course, overthinking everything. So,
Yeah.
Hey, it's gonna be so
Yeah, it'd be sick.
yeah,
fun.
exactly. Exactly.
You kind of touched on it earlier, but I had down, you said obviously how awesome Sharptone is, how did that relationship kind of come about? And we'd love to know kind of what your hopes and goals are really with that partnership.
Um, it was very natural, which was really cool. We weren't really shopping for like a label or anything like that. We'd kind of had the idea to keep writing and hopefully put that stuff out and work with some cool people and maybe get to play some out of town shows. Or that was kind of where we were at the time, um, because of our finances and like what we could manage with the band. And so when uh, we were like in a little bit of a tiff about like this show we were gonna, or this little run of shows that we were gonna try and make work, but some of us couldn't make it, and we didn't want to get fill-ins. This whole thing, and then I get a DM on the band page from a guy. He's like, "Hey, my name's Sal. I'm with Sharptone. Blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, this." I'm like, "Hold on." Looked up. He said he was NANR. Looked up Sharptone. I was like, "Oh, he actually is with them." So like I was like, "Hey guys, I know we're like fighting right now, but this." And then we all went, "Whoa." And so it's funny talking about the Instagram DMs. That's kind of how he did it too. He just reached out, and we got on a couple calls and went out and met him at the when Knocked Loose came through with um, Loathe and Show Me the Body and Speed last year. Met up with him at that show and kind of just really like get to know each other and see what was up. And they just kind of really helped us get to a point that we wanted to be faster than we thought we'd be. So they've just really kind of been like, what do you want to do? And how can we help you get there? And they'll tell us whether, like, obviously they're going to keep it realistic too. So it's been nice to be like able to say, is this achievable? And they say, yes, or we'll talk about it. So it's nice to kind of have
That's
that,
awesome.
like for me with, I am like, I know everybody has different experiences, but they've been giving us some good guidance so far.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's a
haven't
good
gotten
team.
to meet Sal yet, but I've heard a lot about this man and I need
uh
to meet him. If you're listening, Sal,
oh my
because
god.
all the bands have very nice things to say about
Mhm.
Sharptone and Sal specifically, which is great because obviously there are a lot of labels out there people don't have the best experience, and it seems that Sharptone really cares, so that's cool.
It's been refreshing because of I've heard so many bad things, and I just like, going into this being my second musical venture, just like, all right, we'll see where this takes us. And he's just like, if you get the chance to meet him, he is a sweetheart, great guy, and also very, very knowledgeable. So it's been very cool.
That's
Heck
awesome.
yeah.
I think this is like such a good lesson to anybody. If you're on the fence of sending the DM, just send the DM. As long as it's not a weird DM. But like
You
if it's
miss
Yeah,
like
don't
a
be
good DM.
weird.
Yeah, not don't be weird, but
Yes, you
I
miss
mean,
100% of the shots you don't take,
it's
yeah.
Wayne
true.
Gretzky,
There,
Michael Scott.
when I think about the Pretty Cult page, we get some wild DMs and I just
I could
delete.
imagine. I could imagine.
But we have gotten some stuff that's actually I'll respond to and be like, okay, like check out your page or check out your music and add you to our playlist or see, keep an eye on kind of thing. So it doesn't hurt to try, Again, I like just treat DMs like it's an email. Don't be like,
I'll just
hey,
write it off.
check out my band. I'm like, okay.
All right. Did you include a link, or is like,
Yeah.
are you who are you? Like, what
Yeah,
are you? I don't even know what that means. So that's
exactly.
yeah. I think that's something that you know a lot of people could understand or work on a little bit more. It's just
Yeah.
Absolutely.
if communication at a professional level, depending on what you're trying to do, obviously if you want to have a presence online, present yourself however you want, but like behind behind the curtain, you know,
Yeah.
make sense. Be
Yeah.
professional, don't sound like a goober.
No, it's so true. I mean, I'll get like, music submission emails all the because I work for a label and like, weekly or so, and I will sometimes be like, oh, this is a little cringy. But then I remember I did the exact same thing when I was in like eighth grade or freshman year of high school, emailing Victory Records, being like, Can you sign my band? And they're like, Who are you? Like it's actually a pretty funny story. So I work for a label called Pale Chord. It's a
Yeah,
subsidiary of Rise Records, and shouts out to the Rise team. When I was 16 years old, I snuck into their old office in Portland, Oregon, and put a CD of my shitty pop punk band's CD like on the
that's
desk
hard.
of the employees thing, and I still to this I've told them all this story now to this day, but you know you just got to remember where you came from, it keeps you humble, for sure.
Amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just kind of last question, beyond the new album, you mentioned that you have some shows coming up soon. If you want to just touch on that and sort of what else we can kind of expect, within the next year for the band.
Um, yeah, we're playing with some people again, just kind of connecting through the internet and just music in general. Just Weeping Moon reached out and was just like, "Hey, love your guys' stuff. Um, what can you make work?" And so hopping on a couple shows. We're playing June 12th, which is this Thursday in Nashville at the
Cool.
end, which I'm like I said, we've only been out of town once. So just to be able to,
That's a cool venue too.
oh, I'm so
Yeah.
excited. I haven't been there
Yeah.
yet. So just, I've been to Nashville once and I loved it then. So to be able to like really get in there and do our thing and experience it again, super stoked. And then we're coming back to our hometown area, playing the venue that we're really like kind of our home base venue right now, Pops. And Weeping Wounds letting us headline that. So that'll be fun. And then we're going to go out to Lakewood, Cleveland area and play at the Foundry, which I've heard really good things. So I'm stoked to go up there too.
Legendary spot for sure as well. The
Yeah.
Foundry. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. Yeah, we really appreciate it. It's been a great chat.
Yeah, no, it's thanks for having me on. You guys are awesome and stoked to be here.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, we'll let you get back to it. I know it's probably a little later your time right now.
It's
So,
not too bad. But yeah, actually heading to rehearsal tonight to kind of like dial in everything. So
there we go. Well, hell yeah, dude. Well, thank you again. And yeah, we'll make sure to let everybody know when this is going live. And yeah,
oh yeah, dude.
congrats on
Thank you.
everything.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's a pleasure to meet you guys both.
Of course.
Have
All
a good
right.
one.